Will women date you if you're living with your parents? Hi there, men's dating coach Harry Wilmington here, founder of IntrovertDatingSuccess.com. And today we're going to be answering a question on Reddit from a guy who is in an interesting situation. He's 32 and lives with his parents. And he wants to know if that's going to be a hindrance to him as he tries to date women. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click that little bell to be notified of when we post up new daily episodes. Also, be sure to go to the website to download my free ebook, Texting Like a Boss, as well as to show support for the show by hitting on the tip jar tab, both of which can be found at the website and in the links below. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, the guy's message goes like this. He says, I am 32 and currently live with parents. I feel like this is an instant denial by most women for dating. I have a valid reason and am in the process of saving for a home, but do you think women would understand this or just see it as a red flag and shut down? Obviously, this depends on the woman, just looking for general thoughts. For anyone curious, I went through cancer twice, 2 major operations, had 2 major operations not related to the cancer on top of that. After dealing with all of that, ended up in a crushing medical debt and returned to college to better my career. I graduated 2 years ago, have a great job in a stable career, and nearly all debt is paid at this point. Hope to purchase a home next year. Seems like I never have a chance to discuss or explain this in online dating apps. Okay, so first, there's good news to this and bad news to this. So first, I'll go ahead and start with the bad news, okay? Is that there is a good portion of women out there who will see this guy in his situation and think, well, crap, he's living with his parents, he's in debt, he can't support me or a family. I don't know if this is the route that I want to take. And particularly with the living with the parents part, that can be a very unappealing thing for a woman to see, because a lot of women have certain ideals about the guy that they're dating and the situation that he's in. And so a lot of women don't want to imagine that a 32-year-old man is living with his mom and dad, because they start thinking about other things outside of just that. For one, it's like how it looks, what she tells her friends. And then also in terms of the situation where what if, they start getting hot and heavy and want to get intimate, is he going to try to take her to his parents' home? Like, that's a really weird thing to do. Does he have his own separate quarters? Is it just like he has his own room, or it's like a back house, or like what's the actual scenario? But it can be an unappealing type of situation. Now, that said, there is a bit of good news. And the good news is that interest level cuts everything. So if you meet a girl out there in the world and she's attracted enough to you and you've done your due diligence and you've been able to properly attract her and raise her interest, then depending on how you present this situation to a woman, she can be very accepting of it. Now, I can use myself as an example. I had a period of my life out here in California where I lived on somebody's couch for 2 months. I was between apartments and I was waiting for an apartment to open up, but I had already given up my previous apartment. So I was literally on somebody's couch in a living room somewhere, living there for 2 months. And during that time, I was doing online dating and I met someone, and she was a lawyer who had a place with a roommate, but it was like a really big spot. But anyway, the point is, we started dating and she knew my situation. She knew that I was living on somebody's couch, and she didn't really care. There was another time in my life where I was, in between apartments again, and I was kind of living out of Airbnbs for a few months, and I was still seriously dating somebody at the time who stuck with me, Now, what is it about these two situations that was able to make that happen? Here's what I have discovered, at least based on those situations, okay, is that women more so are worried about you trying to take advantage of them more so than what your actual situation is. Okay. So for example, if I had been in these situations where, for example, when I lived on the couch, I had no car. So if I was in a situation like that, where I was trying to constantly stay over her place all the time and constantly try to borrow her car and ask her for money, then that's going to be a situation that a woman is not going to want to stay in long term. At least most sane women aren't going to want to stay in that, because it's like, this guy's using all my resources. He's not trying to get his own. Now, at that time, even though I was on somebody's couch, I had a stable job. I was getting paid regular money. When we went out on dates, I was still paying for the majority of our dates. So nothing in my situation said that I was looking for a handout. Okay. And that's really where a lot of the weakness comes, where you start looking like you're that handout guy that can't really handle himself and whatever. Okay. In the situation with the Airbnb, at that point, I had a car and I was still working regularly, whether I was doing Uber or Postmates or whatever. I was still actively earning money, still actively taking her on dates, still actively taking care of myself. Okay. So you got to understand that the situation involving the parents, that is a thing that, unfortunately, guys, we've been taught that that's going to be a hindrance. And it might be. There might be a good portion of women that don't accept that. But again, women really care more about how you're treating them, how you make them feel, more so than your situation. Think about all the women that like write to dudes that are in prison. These dudes are in prison for rapes and murders, and you would think these are the last people that would ever get somebody to write for them. And there are women out there that have high-paying office-level jobs that are writing to these prisoners wanting to attract them. Why? Because in these letters, they're making these women feel a certain way that guys on the outside aren't making them feel. So that's a very extreme example of that. But the point is that your situation is not as bad as you think it is. Okay. Now, also, women like a guy that has drive and looks like he has things that are going to be happening to him really good in the future. So let's look at this guy's setup. Yes, he is 32. Yes, he's at home with his parents. But look at his situation. He had all this cataclysmic stuff happen to him that, any other kind of man might have been like, oh, I can't handle this, I'm out of here, whatever. And he was able to get through it. He was able to get the surgeries. He was able to get rid of the cancer. And now, after doing that, he was able to pick himself back up and go to college to be able to get the kind of degree that allowed him to get a job that allowed him to make the money that he needed to make to pay off that debt, which most women can't do. Most women have like high credit card debts that they're not able to pay off. And here's this guy that had surgery debt that he's able to almost pay off. Okay. So what this means is women are going to see the totality of what your situation is and make a decision. But here's something very, very important, is that that's only going to happen if you get on the date. And what a lot of guys do is make this mistake of thinking, I need to put all my woes of the world onto my dating profile and let women know every single thing about me, including that I live with my parents, including that I have debts, including that, oh, woe is me, I'm still trying to get out of it. And they shoot themselves in the foot because they're thinking like a guy. They're thinking like, well, if I told another guy, he'd logically want to know this stuff, so I need to tell her every single thing about me. But that's what the date's for. Online dating itself is basically an advertisement. It is you advertising why you feel you're a good guy to date, whether it's you're advertising your looks, whether you're advertising the fun type of person that you are or the things that you're into. It is nothing more than advertising. And a lot of guys go on these dating platforms trying to use it like truth serum. Like, I'm going to just get out there and spill everything. And if they like all the stuff they read about me, then I'm going to be cool. And they don't realize that a lot of the stuff that you need to do in order to attract a woman needs to be done in person, where she can hear your voice, where you can add a little, tell a story that's going to get a little laugh here or say something with an inflection here that's going to be much more effective than you saying it on an app or in a message. So, he says here, I never have a chance to discuss that in online dating apps. The reality is you shouldn't. The reality is you should be focusing on advertising yourself as a good person. And then when you get out on dates and they start asking those questions and you start asking them questions, they'll start asking you, so what's your living situation? So what do you do for work, et cetera, et cetera. That's when you can put together a narrative for yourself about your situation, And again, this isn't something you need to lie about, but it's not something you need to be putting on an online dating bio. And I actually have a whole program that I've put together called Smart Digital Dating that's also at the website that you can get that teaches you the ins and outs of how to set up your digital dating life, whether it's your bio, whether it's your messages, whether it's your pictures, knowing what to say, when to say, how to say it, how to position yourself in the best way possible to be able to get women on dates from these online platforms. But you don't put stuff like this on there, for sure. Now, when you get on the date, how do you handle this? Like I said, you lay it out, but you lay it out in a specific way. And you can say things like, oh man, she starts asking a little about your life. So she'll say, tell me about yourself. Tell me what you're into, what's your life story. That's when you go into, I had cancer for a while and, I was struggling for that and I really had to fight through that. And it was really like a brave journey because I didn't know at times if I was going to make it or not. And I was really glad that I had my parents' support. They were able to support me. I had to go back and live with them for a while. In fact, I'm still kind of with them now because I'm just now starting to get out of that hole that the bills and stuff took over with. But after I got rid of the cancer, thank God, I was able to go back to college and now I have a really, really great job that's actually paying me quite well. So it's going to be nice because that means next year I can actually afford a really, really great place. And I just have this money tucked away in savings, just ready to go. So like first of the year hits, I'm going to be looking for houses. Now, what does that tell her? It tells her, one, you are living at home, but also you're a man that knows how to save money. You're a guy that's a go-getter because you clearly made a plan to go to college. And also you're already planning to get out of your parents' house. And that's key because the woman might think, if you just say, I just live at home with my parents, they don't have an end date for when that's going to stop. Versus you saying, yeah, and I've already planned starting in January, February next year, I'm going to be looking at houses. Then she knows, oh, so in a few months, he's really serious. He's actually made a plan to get out of his parents' house and he's already going to be looking at houses really soon. So that's a good thing. So now she has enough information that you've told her in person to decide if this is something she can handle for a few months, not thinking it's going to go on for years and years and years. Now, at that point, you want to ideally be in the situation, in the position where you can actually make those moves. But during the time when you're living with your parents now, if the girl really starts liking you and wants to go out with you, ideally she has her own place you guys can go to. Or if she's living with roommates or has her own situation with that, then you can start planning dates to where if physical things start to happen, you can plan out, okay, what's a good hotel part of town? What's a good location we can go to on Airbnb that's going to let us really do that stuff. But you work on the building attraction, making a connection part while that's happening. And then when you are able to make those moves to get out of your parents' place, then you can make other types of moves that are a bit more serious, okay? But don't let that be a deterrent because, again, it's all in how you position it. It's all in how you say it. And recognize women at this point have dealt with all kinds of situations with men. If the worst thing about your situation is that you live at home, I can promise you that it's not the worst situation that most women have gone through. And ultimately, it should not be a major deal, but only if you treat it as if it's not a major deal. If you start treating it like it is one, then they're going to go off what you're saying and what you're feeling, and they're going to treat it as one too. And you don't want that. So make sure you just remember, position it well, and you should be just fine. Now that you've heard from me, I'd like to hear from you. Have you ever had an odd living situation, and how did the women you dated handle it? If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment below or write to me at harrywilmington@gmail.com. Are you ready to learn killer icebreakers that attract women on dating apps? Go to introvertdatingsuccess.com right now to watch my free video training, How to Get Attractive, Feminine, Emotionally Stable Women Dying to Respond to Your First Messages on Dating Apps Without Using Sleazy Pickup Lines, which will give you key secrets to sparking attraction and conversations with women online the smart way. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this video, and catch new videos 7 days a week here on YouTube or wherever podcasts can be found. In the meantime, check out some of the other awesome episodes on this page so that you too can learn how to attract women as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.